Coming to paperback and e-readers, Esteem Season of the Witch Girl. The aspiring angel takes on a wicked teenage witch in this action-packed all-new Esteem series adventure. Pre-order your copy of Esteem Season of the Witch Girl at Amazon.com and other online booksellers. One of my viewers wanted to know how white feminists brainwashed black women. And that's a misconception that the viewer has, that white feminists basically brainwash black women. No, when it came down to a good chunk of the black women who supported the white feminist movement, most of those white black women supported the feminist movement basically because they wanted the social acceptance of American society. Now, I go in depth on this in my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, and I talk about it a bit in my novel, Spellbound, because many of these black women who supported the white feminist movement really supported this movement because they were looking to gain white acceptance like many black people did during that time in the civil rights movement. Now, during that time in the civil rights movement, this was a time where black people were walking away from the road of black empowerment, which is what the civil rights movement was originally about. The original plan for the civil rights movement was for black people to fight for their civil rights that were guaranteed to them under the United States Constitution, under the 13th and 14th Amendment, and be able to be ensured to have their right to vote, their right to have their tax dollars spent in their public schools, which were segregated and again considered to be second best, and receive monies from the government as related to their tax dollars spent in their communities. That is what black people were fighting for during the civil rights movement. Unfortunately, when it came to the civil rights movement, the Achilles heel of many of those who were fighting for civil rights was they basically got caught up in a quest for white social acceptance. And as they got caught up in this quest for white social acceptance, what happened is many people basically got bamboozled by the whole concept of integration. Now, integration was something that the wealthy wanted to do because they saw black people creating their own economy, and that economy competing with their economy. And as they saw the black economy competing with theirs, they sought to undermine the black economy by going out here and playing to the whole quest for white acceptance that many black people had. And as we looked to getting acceptance, as we were allowed to shop in once segregated stores, this is where the spellbound black people, looking to fit themselves into black boxes that were acceptable to white people, basically started to walk away from the road of empowerment in the civil rights movement. And as we walked away from the road of economic empowerment from the civil rights movement, because we were really fighting for our equal rights to our tangibles as related to our tax dollars, and fighting for tangibles as related to ensuring and guaranteeing our civil rights so that we would not suffer racial violence at the hands of terrorists like the Ku Klux Klan and terrorists who terrorize black-owned businesses. This is what black people were fighting for. Unfortunately, a lot of that got undermined because a lot of black people wanted white acceptance more than black empowerment. And as those black people wanted white acceptance more than black empowerment, this is where black people got caught up in the being bamboozled by integration. And as they got bamboozled by integration, they basically fell for the con. And as they fell for that con, it basically started a divide in the black community. And this is what the wealthy, who were a part of white supremacy, used to divide the black community in its quest to conquer black people, to ensure that the civil rights movement would not have an impact on basically black people gaining more economic and political power. Now, when it came to this whole quest to divide black people, the wealthy white supremacists saw a use for the feminist movement. Now, the feminists who were previously called suffragists, these were wealthy white women who were racist, who were upset that black people were gaining power as related to us being seen as equal citizens. And as they saw black people on a road to becoming equal citizens due to the 13th and 14th Amendment, this is where these white women got extremely upset, and these racist white women basically started creating the suffragist movement. And this suffragist movement basically, again, was very anti-black and very on the fringe because it was a group of wealthy white women. And again, these wealthy white women did not like the idea of black people having power. And since they did not like the idea of black people having power, they basically were especially against black women. Now, these feminists would go out here or suffragists would go out here and say they were all about women's rights, but there was one person excluded, and Sojourner Truth talked about this in her statement, "Ain't I a Woman?" Again, the suffragists, when they talked about women, did not talk about black women because they were about rich white women, not even middle-class white women or working white women, because when it came down to working white women were basically ignored by the suffragists, and basically ignored because most of those women basically were traveling during the late 19th and early 20th century to cities and dealing with all sorts of harassment from men, and not a peep was heard from the suffragists. And these women, as they were in these deplorable working conditions, were basically ignored by the suffragists as related to their cause. And it took those women during World War II to form their own women's rights movement, which basically ensured that white women would get protections under Title VII and Title IX and get equal pay under the Equal Pay Act of 1962 or 1963. Again, these provisions were put into place before the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 for white women. And those white women's rights were protected under the law. But the wealthy, again, wanted to bring up the feminist movement because they needed the feminist movement to continue participating in their anti-family agenda, because their anti-family agenda was about them being able to make more profits through consumerism, make more profits by destroying the black family and the overall American family by removing the father from the home as the head, and having the woman work outside and the kids be in front of television where they would be shown consumer products and as related to the advertising presented in front of them. That was the campaign that was done, and again, many black women wanted to be accepted by this white society, and as they were looking to get acceptance into this white society, which Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. called a burning house, basically what happened is a lot of black women basically wanted this white acceptance and valued this white acceptance more than God, more than anything in this world. They valued this white acceptance, and this was the foundation for them looking to support the feminist movement, because in their eyes, they thought they were supporting being like white women and being elevated to the same high social status that white women were elevated to in society. That's what many black women believed. They believed that they would be elevated to this high social status in society. They thought they would be elevated to this high place in society, not understanding that they were being sold a bill of goods, by the white supremacist and the wealthy, who was selling them feminism through what some people say is a CIA agent in Gloria Steinem, and being sold this whole agenda as related to feminism. But because what many black women didn't know was that the suffragists and the feminists was at the bottom of society, and basically black women were not being taught to be just like white women, but were being taught to become feminists. And there's a difference between a feminist and a woman. I go in depth on this in my book, The Woman Crisis, because a feminist is basically looking to serve corporate America and the state, whereas a woman is looking to serve God. And many black women basically just bought into this rhetoric, not being able to differentiate between the two, because she valued white acceptance, not understanding that the feminists basically while she had white skin, was not somebody accepted by white society. No, she was somebody at the fringe of society. And basically, yes, she had white skin, and that's all that mattered to a lot of black women. And that's why they went to side with this movement, not understanding that this movement was basically brought back by the wealthy because, again, they wanted to drive a wedge in the family and basically go out here and lower the value of labor in this country. The ultimate goal of the feminist movement was to, again, divide the family, and in the case of the civil rights movement, divide the black family, so that the white supremacists could turn the black man against the black woman, or to really turn the black woman against the black man, and basically start the foundations of a gender war where they could feed people guns and send people guns and butter, and as they're sending them guns and butter, they're fighting each other instead of fighting against these institutions to get tangibles from their government, such as reparations, such as being able to have, again, actual economic power. Black people would be, again, the black woman would be fighting against the black man and buying into anti-black narratives ever since the days of the antebellum South that presented the stereotype that the black man was not a good father, not a good provider, not responsible and capable, when in actuality these were things that the white supremacist projects onto black men, even though when we look at the statistics for pre-feminist America, black families, again, were the majority of marriages, and black fathers were in the home regularly, and it usually was white males who were basically abandoning their families. That's the narrative that many don't know about, because the feminists basically, again, with the white supremacists, changed the narrative as related to black people and created the narrative of the no-good deadbeat black man, again, a stereotype to demonize heterosexual black men. This was done, again, and many black women fell for this because they wanted white acceptance, and as they wanted white acceptance, they wanted to be a part of the white society, and many wanted, and further wanted to be a part of white supremacy. This is what they willingly wanted to do. Again, there was no brainwashing. People wanted to walk into this because they wanted white acceptance. And as they wanted white acceptance, this is why black women supported feminism, and supported feminism by walking into a burning house to support white supremacy that further led to more poverty in black communities, led to a complete collapse of the black family as they looked for white acceptance. The real thing with this is that the white supremacists knew black women were social, and with black women being social, they wanted social acceptance more than equal rights, and that's why those black women sided with the feminist movement and the welfare state, because as part of their hypergamy, they wanted the economic security under white supremacy, and this is how neighborhoods like Sugar Hill got turned into dilapidated areas, because black people walked away from those areas looking to be a part of a greater melting pot, like Dr. King talked about as it being that burning house. And as we got into that burning house, again, we destroyed our black community because spellbound black women sided with the feminist movement, and spellbound black men, I'm not going to leave them out, again, wanted that white acceptance. And again, because they wanted that white acceptance, they walked away from neighborhoods like Sugar Hill in Harlem that were, again, black communities built by foundational black Americans, and looked to try to be a part of a larger white society. That is why black women sided with the feminist movement, because they wanted to be part of white society, and they were willing to compromise with white supremacy as it looked to divide and conquer the black community. As they looked to divide and conquer the black community, this is why the black woman, again, sided with the feminist movement, again, sided by her own free will as related to things, because she wanted that acceptance. And as she wanted that acceptance, the white supremacists created anti-black propaganda inside of their media, created anti-black propaganda in their media, and sadly many black people don't see how the feminist is a racist, and again has been a racist from the beginning, because the feminist basically is envious of black people having power, because if black people have power, she fears she will lose power, because in white supremacy, she's elevated to an artificial position by not only that white man who needs her to keep his culture of white supremacy, but by codependent black males who see her as the ideal standard of beauty. And if black men are looking at their own women as beautiful and powerful, she basically loses opportunities at being able to get access to resources and social status from the black community, and doesn't have that cushion to fall back on when she gets rejected by white men. That's why she needs black women to be a part of the feminist movement, because that allows her to eliminate her competition, because if her competition is seeking her acceptance, then she's not competing against her as related to the social marketplace. And if she's not out here chasing the white woman as a standard of beauty, then she's not establishing her own standard. So this white feminist, again, was used as a tool to go out here and, again, get black women to, again, walk away from their own road to empowerment. And this white woman, again, needs you to buy into feminism, needs black women to buy into feminism, because that's how they keep their power. That's how they keep their economic and political power. That's how they keep being taken care of, because if the black woman isn't taking care of the black man, she's working with white supremacy and for white supremacy. And again, if she's working for white supremacy, then she's not working with that black man towards black empowerment. And that's why they, again, tricked black women into going, not really tricked them, but sold them this deal, because they knew black women were desperate for white acceptance, and as they were desperate for white acceptance, many black women, again, willingly went along because they wanted that white acceptance. They were so spellbound, and again, looking to fit themselves into a black box that's acceptable to white people, they made this compromise with white supremacy, because they wanted to be in a place where white people would, again, have the power, have that power, and ironically, didn't see the racists behind the scenes looking to take away their power. That's what black women didn't see as related to about the whole thing with white feminism. And again, white feminism was always anti-black and always jealous of black women having power. And again, jealous because, again, these same white women, while they talked about equal rights, never talked about black women. And nobody really knows that, again, these white women, as they were sitting there, these suffragists, again, sitting in the lap of luxury, while black women were forced to work because of laws like the Black Codes in the South. Again, they don't talk about that part of slavery, of the post-slavery period. A lot of times they had laws on the books that said black women had to work. Meanwhile, these same suffragists didn't say a word about those black women and the oppression they suffered under the Black Codes. These are things that many black women don't know about because they don't know their history, and a lot of people, again, are not looking at the history because, again, spellbound black women value white acceptance more than an equal system of justice, and value white acceptance more than having equal power in God's order in a society that's about justice. Now, this was a video requested by one of my viewers, and if you want to request a video, you can drop a donation for a minimum of $15 to the PayPal or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if I know something about that subject, I'll make that video for you. And if you want to learn more about how America's women wound up becoming feminists and wound up on the road to becoming women in crisis, you can pick up my book, The Woman Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Woman Crisis at other online booksellers like Draft to Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Coming to paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, A Thorn in My Side. The man who rules the world takes on an agent from the CIA from the Black Boule in this action-packed all-new John Haynes series adventure. Pre-order your copy of John Haynes' A Thorn in My Side at Amazon.com and other online booksellers. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.